So everybody, as you can see right in front of me, I have an abundance of brand new iPhone cases for the entire iPhone 16 lineup, and what I want to do in this video is go over some of these and give you maybe my early top 3 or top 5 picks for somebody looking to equip their brand new iPhone 16 with a brand new case. We have ultra thin cases, we have thick and rugged cases, and the interesting part about this here is that manufacturers are going to have to deal with the new action button on the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus, as well as that new camera button on all the iPhones in the 16 lineup, and let's see how all these different manufacturers deal with it in different ways. Let's get into the video. So of course, in order to give you guys what I think my preference is going to be, I'm going to have to unbox these, open them up, and let's see exactly which one I would recommend, so let me do that real quickly. So voila everybody, as you can see, we've unboxed all the different iPhone cases to kind of go over and see which one we like the most, because there's an abundance of awesome iPhone cases that are already out. And one thing that I will indicate is that these are pretty much for all the different iPhones from the 16, 16 Plus, 16 Pro, and 16 Pro Max, but every single one of these that I show you will have a counterpart for its respective and corresponding iPhone. So for instance, this one by Thinborne is for the 16 Pro, so of course we're gonna have the same exact one for the Pro Max as well as the Plus and the regular 16. So now let me show you what my top 5 cases are in no particular order. Now I do want to preface this before we get started that I do tend to bias myself a little bit towards those ultra thin cases. I don't really know why. I guess the iPhone Pro Maxes have already been big enough that I don't want to add too much bulk, but I do know that there's a time and a place for those bulky and more protective cases, and some people really do like those versus the ultra thin ones. So I'm going to kind of give you guys a variety of all the different cases that I've been able to test out so far, but we are going to start on the ultra thin side. And if you're somebody that does not care whatsoever about protection and you kind of just want a glorified skin around your iPhone, then Totallee is going to be able to actually handle that perfectly. It weighs less than 0.1 ounces, it's less than 0.02 inches in thickness, and now again, this is ultra thin, and this is essentially just a layered skin that goes on top of your iPhone. There is no extra MagSafe compatibility, although because it is ultra thin, the MagSafe magnets on the actual iPhone itself are strong enough to kind of go through the case itself. But again, if you just want an ultra thin case that's malleable, that's easy to use, that fits perfectly, then Totallee is going to have you covered. They do have an ultra thin one that does have a MagSafe magnet on there, which I personally don't like too much because you can see it kind of protruding through the actual case itself, but that is something to take into consideration if you do want to check those out. And the first thing that you notice is that, and you'll see a pattern with these cases specifically, is that none of the cases that I'm going to be looking at right now have a layer over that new camera shutter button that they're going to be having on all the different iPhones. It either has a cutout or they completely omit the case from that area, so we'll definitely keep an eye on that as we go along. But if you want an ultra thin case that again doesn't have protection or drop protection at the forefront, just more so a look to change the color of it, and then again scratch resistance maybe from keys in your pockets and things like that, then Totallee is going to have you covered, with those cases going from $35 to $40 depending on which one you go with, via MagSafe or no MagSafe. So now to stick with the thin casing, although a little bit thicker than the Totallee casing because this is a lot more rigid in terms of build material, I'm going to go towards Thinborne and Pitaka. These are made out of aramid fiber, both are extremely rigid, very protective for what it is, both of them have MagSafe magnets built into them. It's just a matter of which brand you want to go with, and there are more color options and kind of design options on the Pitaka side, but the Thinborne in the packaging, you do get a lot more in the packaging from multiple screen protectors and cleaning cloths and things like that. So it's just a matter of how much you want to get in the box and which brand you want to go with. But both of them have a great lip on the camera bump itself to keep it protected. Both of them have cutouts for the action button as well as the camera shutter button, or the camera control button, or whatever Apple wants to call it at this point. But you can see the first difference in terms of how these cases are taking care of that shutter button or the camera control button. With Thinborne, it is a circular cutout that goes around the actual button itself, versus with Pitaka, they're kind of removing the case completely from that area and letting that camera control button kind of stay out on its own. And you can see that throughout all of the different camera cutouts and all the different button cutouts as well. They kind of just remove that side casing from the actual case itself, versus with Thinborne, you have cutouts as well as removals of the case from the side buttons and the volume rocker, but then you do have the cutouts on the bottom of it for the speaker grill and that USB-C port. So those cases I love, and if anything, I'm probably going to lean towards those as being my main cases moving forward, especially because that's what I dealt with my iPhone 15 Pro Max. I pretty much just went between two different cases, between a Pitaka case and then a leather case, but we'll get into that category right now. The next case I'm going to talk about is that leather form factor, and it's probably my personal favorite leather one that's out right now. And again, these are my early picks, so this could change as time goes on, but Nomad's traditional leather case is something that I've been loving for years, and I do highly recommend it. It is $80, but it is made of that Horween genuine leather, so it is top quality, and it does give you that nice smell and sensation of leather. It does patina over time, and you can see here that there's two different ways that they actually went about with these cutouts and these buttons. First and foremost, they have this nice kind of tactile feeling on the buttons themselves, so for the lock button, the volume rockers, as well as the action button, and then they completely cut out the case for the camera control button on the bottom right of the iPhone. So if you're looking for a leather case that's protective, that's from a well-known brand, that has some nice microfiber lining on the inside to protect the iPhone, and is very high quality, then the ones by Nomad, and they have multiple options in this leather Horween. So they have the full wrap, which is what I personally like, then they have the wrap with the side being a different color and a different build material, and then they even have a folio case for your iPhone if you want to use it also as a wallet. So now if you want something a little bit more rugged, definitely look into Smartish, because Smartish is one of those brands that's been around for a little while, but they've really been getting into the iPhone game, iPhone accessory game a little bit stronger over the last year or so, and I personally love their MagSafe accessories, but their new Gripzilla is exactly what it sounds like. It's a more rugged, more protective case with a clear backing, it has MagSafe magnets built into it, and it is extremely grippy. I mean again, it's called the Gripzilla, and for the price, it's very hard to go wrong. This one's only $30 compared to the other ones that I've mentioned, which are $40 for the Totallee case and $60 and $80 for the Nomad and Pitaka ones respectively. But this one for $30 is ultra protective, comes in a bunch of different colorways, works with any of the iPhones, very grippy, all the corners are very protected, you have a nice lip for the camera and the front screen as well. So if you want something that's more on the budget side, that's very grippy and protective, definitely take a look at Smartish, and they have some other cases as well that are multifunctional, which we'll touch on in a little bit. I'm also a huge fan of multifunctional cases, right? Because again, a normal case like the ones that I've been talking about are just do that. They protect the phone, they might have MagSafe magnets to attach other accessories, but that's pretty much where it stops. Now we step into the multifunctional cases where they can add a little bit more instead of just being a case. For example, this one by Torras is a great protective case made out of very rugged plastic and rubber, so it's easy to protect, easy to put in there, and the rear of it is very rigid for that drop protection. But what I like about this is that it also has a MagSafe magnet built into here that doubles as a stand. So you can actually open this up, use it as a stand to put your phone in portrait or landscape mode, and then that forgoes the need to have any other, maybe like a pop socket or some other MagSafe accessory that you gotta buy after the fact. So Torras has some great multifunctional accessories, and this one in particular is for the iPhone 16, so you can see that the cutout is a little bit different. It does have that vertical cutout, it's cut out perfectly for the flash as well, and you can see that what they did for the capture button is going to be a more depressed area to then fit in there, so your finger fits in there, but it is a cutout, versus the rest of it is actual covered icons and covered buttons for the actual buttons on the side of the iPhone. And the last case I want to bring up is going to be the ecosystem case, and that's by Moft. They're bringing back their whole Movas lineup for the iPhone 16 lineup of phones, and this is one of my favorite cases that I used very early on with the 15 Pro Max. I love the tactility of the buttons. They do now have a full cutout for that capture button, and what I like about this one is that it does have a whole ecosystem that goes behind it with MagSafe wallets, MagSafe stands, lanyards, and things of that nature. So if you want something that's well built, made out of vegan leather, does have some nice tactile buttons in that kind of metallic colorway, and you do have a nice microfiber lining on the inside for protection and scratch resistance, Moft is always a great and reputable brand to take into consideration if that's something that you do want to get into. So hopefully that gives you some ideas and kind of narrows it down in terms of what iPhone cases are out there. Of course, there is an abundance of iPhone cases that continue to go on and will continue to release, and I'm curious to see how manufacturers start to evolve around this capture button. Like for instance, with the Apple side, Apple's actually covering that camera control button with its own kind of glass on there, so I'm curious to see if other manufacturers and third-party companies end up doing the same thing. But for now, a lot of these people or a lot of these manufacturers are going with a cutout option, and let's see exactly how that works once we do get those iPhone 16s in hand. But that'll do it for this video. Everything will be linked down below. Shout out to the companies that sent over some cases to test out, and let's see which one I end up rocking the most in 2024. But that'll do it. If you did make it to the end, leave a comment down below of what your favorite case is. Maybe we'll do a giveaway in a future video. Also leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end of this video. And if you want to watch more videos like this one, be sure to click on this video right here. And if you want to watch more videos like this one, YouTube thinks you're going to like this video right here, and I think you're going to like this video down here. But until next time, I'm Fernando. Peace, everybody.